Okay, so we will be talking about the stages of the writing process for this afternoon. No? So we are done with our topic, which is the process of communication as an introduction to the business communication, and we also have the barriers. No? If you're familiar with the barriers, it talks about the different barriers that are present in a certain company that you will be working sooner or later, no, your dream job, no, there are always a barrier in terms of psychological, the language barrier, no, the emotional barriers. Those are barriers, no, that are present in your workplace, no, someday. Now this afternoon, because we will be dealing with the writing of your application letter and the different business letters, no, in the near future. No? This is very important. No? We have to know the different stage or the writing process, no, that involves certain point, no, when you will be writing your, for example, application letter or resignation letter. No? Those are very important thing before you're going to apply for a job. No? So there are several stages in the writing process. We have the pre-writing, we have outlining, we have drafting, we have revising, and editing. So when we talk about pre-writing, this is the brainstorming uh, stage. No? So usually we're going to prepare what you're going to write. No? So in your case, for example, if you're planning to write a simple letter, no, for application letter, applying for a certain position in the company, you have to narrow down your topic, no? Meaning to say you have to point out what are the strengths and weaknesses that you're going to present in a certain paragraph, wherein you're going to showcase this strengths of yours, no, in the letter, no. Kumbaga, you're going to sell yourself, no, and in this stage, no, you're going to think of all the strengths that you're going to impart to the company. In pre-writing also, you have to determine your audience, because that is very important, no? Who are the readers of these letters, who will check all your strength. um, Also the purpose, of course, you're going to apply, and the tone, of course, it should be formal, no? All business letters are formal in tone, no? Because there are different types of tone in different letters, no? If you're going to have a friendly letter, of course the tone will be friendlier, no? If you're going to do a business letter, it is very formal, sometimes it's casual, but overall it is formal tone. Also the point of view, whether you're using I, if you're going to use the first person point of view, or you're going to use the second person or the third person point of view. Also make sure that the tenses are correct, no, since you're going to apply for a future job. Automatically the tenses that you're going, of course, is going to use is, of course, the future tense. If you're going to plan for using uh, the present tense, no, you may do so, but be careful for the consistency. If you're going to use a different tense, of course, it is supported by different tenses as well, no, or the verb. Explore your topic. Do not limit yourself by simply presenting what are your strengths. No? But basically, when we are talking about the application letter, it is straight to the point. So you can explore on that, and of course make a plan on how you're going to present it. So how are you going to choose a topic? Basically, this concept is talking about a narrative type of short story, but it is working also in different letters, no, or approaches. So when we talk about choosing a topic, it should be interesting. It might interest the readers. It should be researchable. It might stir up the curiosity of the readers. But all in all, it should be giving them some inquiries that might tell them to search on this. No, also, the topic should not be broadened. It should be one topic that can suffice everything. All in all, makita sang reader nga ara dada ang topic kag wala ga go beyond sang imo nga gina-tell, no? So it should be like that. Also avoid that the topics that are overworked, no? Usually the common topics. So kindly choose the different, no, topics that might help you in the near future. In the pre-writing stage, we are considering different strategies. First strategy is, of course, using experience and observation. So you can put that also in the application letter that you are working on. Of course, you have to read different approaches or different letters so that you will not be limiting yourselves with some ideas, but you are a very good uh, having a lot or a vast ideas in your mind, no? So that it's very easy for you to think of different words, no, or sentences that you might incorporate in your uh, writings. Free writing also, you can ask people when we are having difficulties on exploring ideas, different ideas, and also you may ask different questions to your friend or your colleagues, no, in writing a topic, no, or writing a letter. Now, in determining your audience, it's a must, no, when you are writing, because commonly the mistakes of the people or the mistakes of the applicants are not uh, getting the gender of the employer. No? For example, Mrs., Mr. and Mrs. No? So they are usually um, using uh, non-sexisms, no? To avoid that, of course, they're using the Mr. and Mrs. But it should be, if the gender of the employer is a female, of course, you have to make sure whether she is married or not, so that you may opt to use Mrs. or Miss or Madam. No? For the male, of course, you may opt to use Mr. So do not mix the Mr. and Miss in the headings, no? Or salutation. No? So usually we are in concise when we talk about who are your audiences, who are the readers. No? So those are the things that you need to remember. Now, in determining the purpose, usually you have to ask yourself what is the purpose or the reason of uh, writing this letter. No, of course, to apply for a job, for example, or I I'm writing this because uh, I have the business to resign on your company, for example. No? So those are the different purpose, or even selling something, no? It is a purpose also. So whenever you write, you always have to have a purpose in mind, no? Most writing fits into three categories. We have expressive writing, where you're going to express your emotions. Also, it can be an informative one where you are educating, or it may be a persuasive writing where you are trying to get the attention of the readers. More than one of this, no, you may use that, but one will primarily suffice. Okay, so make sure to determine your purpose when you are writing. Also, in the tone, you have the different tones that might come around. Of course, when we're talking about business letters, the tone should be formal, no, or serious. Do not use humorous or friendly tone because that will defeat the purpose of the business letter. So when we talk about business letter, that is automatically a casual or a serious tone. No? There are different tones that we use in letters. Usually in friendly letter, that is less serious because of course you're talking to your friend. But when we talk about the business letter, you're talking to maybe your employer, maybe your boss, no, or even your prospect advisors or prospect business partners. So that's how you determine the tone. Is it serious or humorous, intimate or detached? No? So think about it when you are going to write something. Also, when we talk about the point of view or POV, this talks about the first person, second person, and the third person. So when you opted to use the first person, use the pronouns that are usually used, like I, we, and the second person is of course the you, and the third person is she, he, they. No? So one of the most common errors in writing occurs when the writer shifts point of view unnecessarily. So when you use the first person all throughout of this, it must be consistent. No? You use the first person all throughout the letter. Um, Same with the second person. So if you opted to use the second person point of view, it must be, consistent all throughout from the beginning to the end, and also for the third person. No? If you use the third person from the beginning, of course you will end with the third person still point of view because um, that's the point of view that determines, no, how important who are the writers of this, and of course to for the readers not to make any confusion that who might be the writers for this kind of letter. So that's how point of view works. Tenses, no? So usually, again, if you're applying for a certain job, no, usually we're using the future tense. So you may use also the present tense when you are trying to write your application letter. But again, the moment when you use the present tense all throughout, no? Because that will cause inconsistency. Same with the future tense. No? Kung gitsuguran mo na present tense all throughout. Same with the future tense. Or if you're trying to create a letter, no, that is past already the deadline, you might opt to use the past tense. Now, the second one is what we call outlining. Outlining is same as you are trying to create already the sequence of the topics that you are already plotted in the pre-writing. No? So outlining is very important because it will organize your ideas, it will create you a thesis statement, and it will create you a certain framework wherein it will be organized in your behalf. No? So that's how outlining works. Now, in organizing ideas, there are three common methods, no, that we are using. We have chronological order. This is found in the letters that, if you're trying to create a letter of sales, no? Um, for example, you put their dates of the purchase, no? So it must be chronological order. So that's how organization or organizing of ideas work. We also have spatial order, a method of organizing that arranges ideas according to physical characteristic or appearance. You may opt to use spatial orders when we are trying to give the characteristics of our, for example, self, no, in selling ourselves in the application letter, for example. We also have order of importance. Um, it might be useful, no, when you are telling some significant events, what are the things that happened from the past, or vice versa, from the present to past, or past to the present. So that's how you use the organizing of ideas in the outlining. Now there are different advices for you to organize. Now let's look at this one. Number one is look at the questions you answer when you were developing your working pieces. So basically, these advices are oftentimes useful when you're working on, or writing a letter, or like writing your thesis papers sooner or later. Look at your pre-writing, find the main ideas or categories of your thinking, put less important items under more important items, and make an outline, of course. Decide how you will set up your paper and how can you organize the paper to achieve your objective. The third one is what we call drafting. Drafting is um, putting already the ideas from the pre-writing and the outline. No? So this is the next stage, wherein you begin rather to write uh, with the part that you know the most about. No? So this is the start of your writing stage. Usually, this is open for revision since this is drafting still, no, so it may be you might use scratch papers on this, or you may use ball pen and paper, or a different writing tools, no? Or even the electronic machines, no, when you're writing already. So still, again, drafting is subjected to to be corrected. No? So write one paragraph at a time usually, and then stop. No, because there are things that might come into your mind and add some ideas in your writing. Also, take short breaks to refresh your mind and be reasonable with your goals. Keep your audience and purpose in mind as you write. So that's how drafting works. No? And we also have revising. Revising is the stage, no, where you're going to correct problems such as spelling, such as grammar. So in this stage, no, you're going to find fault in all the things that you have written. So changing the ideas might come in handy when you write. It it is its goal is, of course, for your writing to be clearer, to be stronger, and to be concise or convincing. So revising looks at the bigger picture. So revising is very important. In revising, you're looking into the unity. So make sure that you answer these questions in your mind. Does everything refer back to the main point? Does each topic sentence refer to the thesis? Um, does each sentence in the paragraph refer back to the topic sentence? No? We also have coherence when you're looking into the revisions. No? All points connecting to form a whole or part of the whole. No? Are transitions used to move from one idea to the next. No? So those are the things that you need to familiarize or to put in mind when we talk about coherence. Okay, so when we talk about the tips, when we talk about the revision, also remember to take a break. Still, same with the drafting. Take a break from your draft before attempting to revise. Read your draft out loud and listen to the words. Some of the good writers might get some help to the different persons, no, or peer evaluations or peer revisions. Usually, they ask a friend, no, if they are free to look at what they are what they have written, no? Because there are some problems that might come, no, or they might see in that you cannot see in your paper. No? So it's a good thing, no, if there are people who will read with your written work. So imagine yourself as a reader, look for consistent problem areas, and get feedback from peers. No? Okay, so those are the things that we need to understand, no, when we are going deeper into writing itself. No, whether it is in business writing, narrative writing, writing a short story, or writing your thesis someday. No? So those are very important things to bear in mind, no? When we talk about the process of writing or writing process. Okay, so I hope you understand the different topics for this afternoon. Thank you very much for